Hey everyone, welcome back to the Videos YouTube channel. This video is going to be a lot different than the rest of the videos that we have up on this channel at the moment because today we'll be talking about our newest application called Graphitii. Today we'll be talking about the main concept of the app, and that's going to be cinemagraphs. For a long time, photo and video have been pretty separate from each other, and Cinemagraph is a way to kind of combine the two together. You'll be taking cinema, or film, or video, and photographs, which is, the graph, so we have Cinemagraph. You combine the two and get Cinemagraph, and we have a interesting combination of photo and video that I have only recently seen come up. The first couple things you'll need to do is get a tripod and some kind of stabilization for your camera. Tripods work really well because you can put them in pretty much any environment and you'll get stable footage, but you can get like books or some kind of like on your desk or something, just set it up there. Any sort of stabilization. The main thing is that you need to make sure that you have no shakiness or any kind of movement inside of your video. You need it to be stable because when we do loop our footage and create the Cinemagraph, if there's a lot of movement or shakiness inside of the video, it is not going to turn out right. For those of you that don't know what Cinemagraphs are or have never seen one, here are a few examples. The effect that we're going for is a photo that is very subtly moving. We want it to look like a photo, but at the same time, we want very subtle video concepts inside of it. We're still wanting it to look like a photo, but we also kind of want it to look like a video at the same time. You definitely don't want your movement inside of the Cinemagraph to be very noticeable or crazy because then it would just look like a video, but you don't want, nothing moving at all. So try to find a nice in-between. For my Cinemagraph today, what I think I'll do for you guys, what I'll create here, I think I'm going to go and boil some water in a tea kettle and then pour it out into a cup and then see the smoke, the steam off of the water, and then just the water going into the cup. And I think we'll try to do a Cinemagraph out of that. I think it would make for a cool effect because the hand would stay completely still, but you'd see the steam coming off of the water and the water moving itself. With Cinemagraphs, you want to go for effects like that, where there are very subtle things moving, and whenever people look at it, they'll kind of see it and they'll think, well, that's really cool. Like his hand isn't moving, but the water is coming out. Like the rest of the image looks like a picture, but other parts of it look like a video. So I'm going to go boil the water now. I'll come back with the footage and we'll run over exactly my process behind recording it and what I had in mind. So we have the footage now and you can see that it is not moving at all. It's completely stable. The reason for that is because I had it on a tripod during this shot, but you could just set it up on a counter or some books or anything like that. One big thing I had in mind while recording this Cinemagraph in particular is that I wanted my hand and the water stream to be completely steady. I didn't want my hand jittering around or the water stream not being in one spot, because when we do go to edit this, we want that stream of water to be consistent and stay in one spot. That's pretty much it though. I just recorded a simple video of me pouring water into a cup, and then in the editing process, we're gonna see where the magic really happens. Today I'll be doing my video editing for the Cinemagraph in particular, and for most of my Cinemagraphs I do them inside of Photoshop. For those of you that don't know, Photoshop does have a video editing feature, and since we're working with both images and videos and we're trying to export them as GIFs, I think that Photoshop is just the best option. Now you can do something like this inside of Premiere or Vegas or After Effects or anything like that. It's pretty much the exact same process that we'll be going over inside of Photoshop. With all those things said, let's go ahead and get started. All right, now we're video editing inside of Photoshop. To get to this little panel thing here, you just want to drop in the video. You take it and then grab it and bring it up here to the copy, to where it says copy. You just drop it in and then Photoshop opens up this little panel here. The first thing that I'll do is trim my footage. As you can see here, I have about 1 minute and 30 seconds of footage, but in the previous thing you saw, it looked like we only had about 7 or 8 seconds of usable footage. In the beginning here, I had my focus set wrong, so I had to adjust it. So I'm gonna go ahead and find exactly where I start legitimately pouring the water into the cup. So there's my focus is set correctly to the tea kettle. I'm grabbing it there, but it doesn't look like I'm actually doing it yet. So I'm going to go in just a little bit more. I'm going to increase the size of my timeline so I can get more exact with the clicks. I'm going to go in another few frames. So I start pouring it here, so that should be fine. I'm going to bring that in, and I'm just going to drag the left side of the footage in, right? So that we are bringing it to our playhead and we're trimming down the video. Now we have the beginning trimmed, so we need to trim the ending because I did have to go turn off the camera. Let's see, so that's where I actually spilled a little bit of water onto the table, so I had to go clean it up there. It's exactly where it ends. So it's a little bit of time there. A little bit more. I'd say it probably ends around here somewhere, so we'll bring that in. So now we're trimming the end. We're just bringing it down to the left side of the timeline, and now we have a much shorter clip with only footage that we're actually using. So as you can see there, that's where I'm putting everything down. So I'm going to trim it to there. If we go into halfway, we can see the water being poured into the cup. So now as you can see, we went from a 1 minute and 30-second video down to like a 5 or 6 second video. So now that we have our video shortened up, we can examine it a little bit more closely. So the main thing that we're looking for here is a few seconds of footage that is steady and will work for the Cinemagraph. So if you look back at those Cinemagraphs I showed you previously in the video, there is one concept of the video, one element of the video that's moving while the rest is still. So in this case in particular, we would have to look for the stream of water that is just the most consistent, that is going down in one area, like it's just going straight down, and we need to find the part of the video that is the most stable, the most consistent, the most steady. Like, that's mainly what we're looking for right now. If there's any part of the video that we're going to be trying to loop in the Cinemagraph that has my hand shaking around or the water splashing out in a bunch of different locations, it won't work. So in this video here, what I noticed when I was actually editing it, it seemed like in the middle of the video I had the tea kettle and the water stream seemed to, you know, be going down at a very consistent rate. So if I play that through pretty slowly, we can see it's rising, and right there, like right around there, we can see that it's, my hand starts going up, but it stays after a while, like right around there. So going back a little bit, we can see around here, it's staying in a general vicinity, like around that area of like my shirt. If we're using my shirt for reference, we can see that it is staying within this little area right here. So we'll say from this area here, so we'll trim it again. We're gonna trim that down one more time, bring it in. We'll say from this spot here to like this spot over here, we'll say that that is what we're going to loop inside of the Cinemagraph. So we're going to bring this back in and trim it down to this side. So the next thing I'm going to do to make sure that the loop we're trying to create looks somewhat decent at the very least, I'm going to click this gear icon right here and select loop playback. If we had this selected when we watch through our video, it's just going to infinitely play for us so we can kind of judge and see what is going on. So the water looks, so if we're watching just the water, because that's the main thing we're worrying about, the tea kettle, you know, as long as it's in the same, at least somewhat of the same spot, it looks like it dips down a little bit there, which isn't a huge deal. It could possibly, but I don't think it'll really matter. But as you can see, the tea kettle and the water are staying pretty much in the same spot. I have pretty shaky hands, so it's a little hard for me to hold. It's super steady, but for the most part, it looks pretty good. So now that we have our loop and everything's looking nice, we can see that my hand and the tea kettle and the cup are all still moving. And the main thing that we want to eliminate is just all the movement outside of the main element that we want to be moving inside of our Cinemagraph. So we want everything but the water to be moving. We're basically going to screenshot our video inside of Photoshop by doing the shortcut Control, Alt, Shift, and E, and that's going to create this little layer here that is basically just a JPEG file put on top of our video file. It pretty much just took a screenshot of what we had on the screen at that moment. Next thing that you're going to do is go to this purple layer, the screenshotted layer that we just created. Go over here, click on it in the layer panel, and then down here, you're going to add a layer mask. Over here at the top of the colors, if your foreground color is white, you're going to want to press X on your keyboard to switch those. You want your foreground color to be black. Then you'll press B on your keyboard for brush. Mine's a little small right now, so I will bring that up in size. That looks pretty good, and now we're going to zoom in on our image to get very precise with this water stream. So I'm going to hold down Alt and use my scroll wheel to zoom in. and we're going to start masking this out and make sure that you're still on that layer. With our brush, we're going to mask out this water. If you hold down slash on your keyboard, you can see your brush. I recommend holding that down if you want to be more precise with your movements. So go down here, do a little bit more there. There you go. Do some right there. We're basically just masking out exactly what we want to see inside of our Cinemagraph. Whatever we want to move, we are masking out. In this case, it's just that water stream here. So we're going to go up there, go over here, mask it out a little bit more, zoom in a little bit using Alt in the scroll wheel. And for this little area right here, what I'm going to do is take the brush size and bring it down so that it's more precise, a bit smaller, so I can get into that smaller area. Looks good. Going in very tight on the zoom there. About there looks good. So zoom back out and we can see that we have this pretty messy brush stroke thingy going on with the mask. I'm going to go down here and just kind of tighten that up a little bit to make the mask more precise. And that looks pretty good there. So if we watch it through, we can see that there's a little bit of movement down here. But what I think we're going to do, since it's just a simple water stream, we're going to basically delete the rest of the video that we have where that little kind of cup thing starts coming into the top. So around right here, we're going to trim this down. We're going to trim that down there, and then our screenshotted layer, we're going to trim that down as well. So just grab that, trim it down. So now if we watch it again, we just have this simple loop of the water going into the cup. This is a very basic demonstration of cinemagraphs and kind of just how to get started with them. This is a very loose example. Obviously, if you put a lot of thought and you put a lot of time into creating something like this, you can get really cool results. I recommend doing like more than one take and putting a lot of time into the footage that you're trying to create the cinemagraph with. But even, you know, with this here, obviously you can see a very loose and a very quickly made cinemagraph looks pretty cool. Now let's talk about how you are going to export this as a GIF. So go to Export, Save for Web. We're going to let that pull up. If your thing is set on JPEG or PNG or whatever, just go to GIF and you'll see that right there. Some people call it GIF. I always call it a GIF. You don't really have to worry about the rest of the stuff here. The main thing is just going to looping options and make it loop forever. Go to Save and then save it as whatever you want. I'll name it Cinemagraph and save it. And you are done. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and make sure you check out our new app, Graphitii. Just from watching the teaser videos of the app, I am really excited to actually use this app because, as you can see in this video, creating cinemagraphs does have a little bit of work behind it, and I think this app is going to simplify this process for a lot of us out there. I'm excited about this app, and I really hope you guys are too. Again, thanks for watching, guys. My name is Caleb Lancaster, and I'll see you in the next video.